All right, here is the Robots in Disguise MENASOR combiner. These are the Robots in Disguise Stunticons. Again, another set that I hadn't really intended on. I didn't go out of my way to pick up. I kind of want to get the Autobot version now with Bumblebee, and we have Team Bumblebee, and Bumblebee, Grimlock, Drift, Strong Arm, and Sideswipe. Just kind of to pair off against him. But I walked into Toys R Us, they had MENASOR, and I'm like, I like MENASOR, I'll check this out. It was 30 bucks. I've spent more on worse, is how I said it on Twitter. And that's not necessarily the kind of stinging endorsement that I intended to be. For what it is, it's kind of fun. It's got some neat little features. There's something charming about it, and I couldn't tell you what precisely, but like, I think $30 is maybe a little pushing the value for your money at this stage. I would like to see a fully realized version. I love the designs on the show, and I would love to see a fully realized version of that with some deluxes and maybe a Voyager MENASOR. But I just don't think that's going to happen. Because one, these two, the new guys, Slashmark and Heatseeker, I think are these two guys' names. They're basically just gray bots with some of their colors painted on them. And if you look at the control art in the show, they should be way more colorful than this. Like Dragstrip and Wild Break, who is kind of like Wild Rider with Breakdown's colors, I guess, here have a little bit more vibrant, especially in vehicle mode. There's SUVs of almost essentially the same mold, with just some, actually I think they may be with just paint in different areas. Their head sculpts are separate, but I just think they could have done a little. I would like to see more individuality from the two new characters to make them stand out a little more. He also comes with a sword that we can use in Motormaster and MENASOR mode. It has a hinge here, and it looks like maybe it was originally at some point intended to kind of maybe hide under the car. You can see why that would not work at this point, or even on top of the car. But I found nowhere to really plug it in. It's too big to fit. This tab is just too big to fit into this square here. Maybe you can plug it in, and it's not quite big enough to latch in securely sideways if you wanted to hook it along the side of the car. There's places where it could very easily fit alongside the vehicle mode, but then no place to secure it, which is a little frustrating and makes me wonder why the hinge. But we'll get into more of that, the sword itself, later on in the video review. So here they all are in vehicle mode, and like I said, Motormaster is pretty cool, just a little semi-truck. They all roll pretty well. They all have the limbs have very Crash Combinery simple robot modes. Actually, even more simple because their heads don't even flip up. So for him, there you go. You pull his arms out, stand him up, he's a robot. Same over here. Pull the arms out. Hey, look, a robot. These guys, the arm guys, are a little bit more complex in that you flip the whole front of the hood of the car down like that, then flip their arms out. And there's Dragstrip with his purple and yellow color scheme, which is kind of nice. Like I said, the arm bots are not too bad. And then again, flip the whole front end of the car up. I don't know why this is. Nope, his wheel popped off. Because of course it did. There we go. I was rotating it the wrong way. That'll do it. Stand him up. MENASOR is a little bit more involved. So there's Slashmark. I'm pretty sure this is Slashmark and this one's Heatseeker. I hope. I could be wrong. They could be swapped because they're very generic. Dragstrip, Wild Break, and Heatseeker. And then here is Motormaster. He's actually got a little bit more of an involved transformation. So split the top half and bottom half of the truck. Go ahead and swing this down. Untab the legs and then rotate them so the feet face forward. Flip the feet down. Actually, the bright's kind of washing this out. I do want a little bit of brightness here, but not so much of that. And then flip his feet down. There's a little tab to help you get started. Yeah, come on. Flip his feet out. Come on. There we go. Flip his feet out like that. The arms come out, and they don't just flip out like this. There's actually a tab here that tabs in around here. You flip it out and around, tab it in there, and then just bring the arm down. He kind of has a molded fist in there. It is hidden by this. He kind of looks like he got stumpy arms, but whatever. Bring this out and around, bring the arm down, and then his head, there's a little tab here that lets his head flip up like that. And there's Motormaster. He's not superposable. He can't rotate forward at all. He's got a little bit of an elbow hinge there at the shoulder, and then his arms can move the wrong way out, but they don't move forward at all in any capacity. His legs can go side to side, and he does have a little bit of a swivel at the knee. I don't know, they could have made that a little bit more secure or more posable as well. And his head doesn't turn at all, it just lifts up. It does have the familiar box around the head, which I think is neat. And some nice purple accents. There's a lot of gray in this set. Like I said, I would have liked these guys to be picked out a little bit more in color because there's a lot of gray in this set. But there are the Stunticons there as a group. And again, just to give you an idea of how big all these are, there's Bisque. Why Bisque? Because why not Bisque? But with the Robots in Disguise Deluxe, there's about how tall they are. So MENASOR is a little taller than, he's not as bulky. He doesn't have as much mass to him as a Robots in Disguise Deluxe, but he's roughly as tall as one, although Bisque is one of the shorter ones. Well, actually, no, he isn't. And whatever. And then to turn them into their combined mode form, these two feet guys transform exactly the same. You turn them back into their vehicle modes, which you saw required a whole lot of effort. Flip these up until they snap into place. All the way click, and then take their feet, and flip those pieces all the way around to the front. What's nice is that you can see that there actually is a hinge built in there, so the combined form does have some ankle tilt. He's got a little bit of posability in the legs since his legs do go out. We'll set those up, set them off to the side. The arms, we'll just again push their arms together like that. Flip these pieces back up and then just lift the middle hood part up like that. And then flip the fist out, which is incorporated into the mode. Go ahead and pull the thumb around for drag strip so it's in the front of the hand. And then take the upper body and fold it down. You can see there's another Crash Combiner port. It says it's compatible with like figures like Shocknado, but you can. They have the same combiner ports. You could slap them together, but they look really weird. I think there's a combiner of these two, where just these two Crash combine into a smaller robot. I would have loved it if we could have gotten some deluxes that had that feature and then also turn into limbs. It would be very bi-clones of them, but sadly, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So there are the arms like that. We'll set them down there, and now on to Motormaster himself, and he's got a couple of cool features. So the arms come up. You want to bring the combiner port out, his tiny little square robot fist. Oh, before we do that, I did mention the sword works in robot mode. You can't hold it by the handle, but this little peg right here you can see is kind of T-shaped. It's long this way, and then it has a wider bit here. That wider bit will just fit over this tab on his arm, so you can tab the sword into his hand, so you can have Motormaster hold the sword. It does make him a little front heavy if you don't have the feet up. But and again, his arms have no appreciable articulation to really use it, but you can use that small tab to have him hold the sword in robot mode. So yeah, now bring these up. And these come all the way up and around like this, and then this little tab fits into a slot here, right here next to his head, with the combiner port facing out. Same over here. And the combiner ports, you'll notice, do rotate, so he does have some arm articulation in combined mode. And for his legs, all you do is flip his feet up like this, and the combiner ports are down here on his feet. And this is what's kind of neat, because at first I thought these were going to look way too long with the combiner ports way down here, but the combiner ports on these guys are actually halfway down the body. So when you connect them, just snap them together like that, these come up to about his knees. So it's actually a pretty neat connection port in there. Again, simple, but it gets the job done. So connect his legs, and here's what I was talking about, why they have that ankle tilt, because his legs do move out side to side, and so you can get a decent pose that supports him very well with that ankle tilt in the feet. The arms, again, the connector port here on the end of the arm just plugs right into the one underneath the vehicle mode here. And once that's all done, this little grill on the front of MENASOR, or Motormaster, push it, and his head flips up. And there it goes. It's spring-loaded. Now, when you do it like that, you can see Motormaster's head is still visible here on the back, but because we flipped it up for robot mode, you can push that up and hide it inside MENASOR's head, so there's no visible Motormaster head here on the back. But But yeah, it folds down, it locks into place right there, and then when you push the grill here, it flips up into place. It's one of those very basic features that is so much fun. So it's fun to just flip it up. So I'm okay with it. Now the sword, he can't hold it. He also had the tabs here on his back. This tab, yeah, fit in this big tab here, so you can store it on either side. In robot mode, if you just want to store it on the combined mode. And you can use the bigger handle, can tab into either hand here. You're gonna have to slide it down the hand, tab it on, and move the thumb back up, but he can hold his giant sword. Articulation, again, not a lot to speak of. You already saw the feet. His hips move out side to side, and his ankles have tilt. His hands rotate forward, so you can kind of bring, oh, MENASOR smash. And his thumbs move, but that's really it. That's it for meaningful articulation. It's a very basic toy. Like I said, somewhat charming in its way. It's not one I would go to hunt down. And he's got the swivel at the knee. I wouldn't go out of your way to hunt this guy down. I would love, like I said, I love the design. I would love to see a more fully realized version of it as a set of figures. A little closer matching the show version. But I don't know why I dig him. I wish there was more color on his feet. Like I said, there's a lot of gray here. And I wish there was the two feet guys were as colorful as the arms. Also, I wish they were properly colored. You can't really scramble Sidium because of the way the connectors work and the limb pieces. Like, you can't swap the arms and legs around like some versions of MENASOR will let you do. And again, just to compare him with Bisque, because I like Bisque. Both, I mean, that's really true of both the food and the toy. I'm a big fan of Lobster Bisque. And as well as Thermidor. I need to find a Thermidor. But just to give you an idea of how big how he sits with a Rid Deluxe fellow Decepticon there. He's not huge. He's not quite... Maybe he might hit the height of a Voyager, but again, nowhere near the bulk. It's a very simple toy. And when you think about the price, it's... Yeah, he costs more than a Voyager and is not quite as beefy with the plastic as a Voyager. So it's a drawback. Like I said, it's not one I don't recommend going out of your way to hunt him down. I don't think that he's one of those that must-have figures. But for picking him up, just thinking like, hey, I want some fun in my life, and I wanted to mess with this, and it's MENASOR, so I'll check him out. Because I don't know what it is. I could not pinpoint. I couldn't tell you exactly what I find exactly about him, but I just kind of dig him. I'm going to put him on my desk at work, and he's going to sit there, and I'm going to look at him and be like, hey, MENASOR, what's up? That's really what's going to boil down to. But anyway, there it is. Robots in Disguise, Combiner, MENASOR.